Hello class, my name is Robert Perry Ivy. I'm your professor for this online course, the Colloquium Critical Thinking course on comic books, graphic novels, comic books, the same thing, same word for the same thing. This is an online course, obviously, and it's my first time teaching an online course, so I'm pretty sure I'm probably going to mess something up at some point. So, be patient with me if that happens. I promise you that it will never be, a mistake that costs you points. I'll always work it out, in your favor, but surely something will mess up at some point because I've never done this before. So, a couple things that you need to know. Gordon email and D2L's email are not compatible. If you try to send me an email from D2L's email to my Gordon email, or vice versa, it's not going to work. So if you need to email me, do it only through Gordon email from your Gordon email. Let's see, a couple other things. I have already emailed you the syllabus and some of the course content that you need before getting started. Hopefully you're familiar with D2L. If not, there's online training available for it. And let's see what else. Some of the books that you'll need. This is the textbook for the course. We will be, reading it, and there will be a discussion post on it and its major concepts. You might be able to find a free copy of this online by, searching the title, Scott McCloud's Understanding Comics and PDF. You may find a free version of it, I'm not sure. But that may save you a few bucks. This is what we will be reading first and posting first, this very first weekend of class. The first comic that we'll be going over is 300. 300 by Frank Miller and Lynn Varley. It's an introductory level comic. It's not, very complex. But it is a good comic, and it's kind of a traditional hero style comic book, but it's pretty complex. So this is the first one that we'll be reading, and the first one that we'll be posting on, and the first one that we'll be writing an essay over. The second comic that we'll be reading is going to be The Crow, which is a really good and complex comic. The third comic that we'll be reading is Fun Home by Alison Bechdel. All this information is in your syllabus, by the way, which I've already emailed to you. The next comic that we'll be reading is The Harlem Hellfighters. It's pretty neat. It's fairly new. It's by the guy who wrote, World War Z and the Zombie Survival Guide. It's about it's a non-fiction fiction hybrid about a unit of all African American soldiers during World War I. It's pretty cool, I think. It's the same artist that did the Walking Dead comics, so it's pretty awesome. The next comic that we'll be doing, or the next series of comics, is by Alan Moore. I included 3 comics from him because he is probably the most influential comic book writer, ever. He's single-handedly changed the face of comic books in the 80s. So we have 3 works from him. You're probably familiar with them. The first is Batman Killing Joke. It's very short. That's the first one we'll be doing. The second is V for Vendetta, which there's a movie about it, but it's not a very good representation of this comic book. And the last is The Watchmen. Now, the movie version of The Watchmen is pretty close. I mean, they changed some pretty big things, but it's probably one of the best comic, movie adaptations that there's been. And these are extremely complex comics. All right. We will be doing discussion posts where you will post a 1-page analytical response. That means you're not summarizing what happened, but you're talking about how the elements of the comic book work, how the dialogue works, word choice, how the art works, how any technique the author uses works, whether that be colors, or art style, or anything, how it works, what it does for the comic. That's analysis. Telling us what happened, that's summary. That'll get you no points. So you will respond to a comic. You will post in discussion, about a comic, a full page of analysis, and then within the next 2 days, you will respond to 2 other students' posts. Not agree or disagree, but build on whatever analytical point they have made. You will add to it or discuss it or expound upon what they said or whatever. Then you also respond to 2 students' responses of your post. And that's how the discussions will work. You will not be writing an essay over every single comic book. You will choose between The Crow or Fun Home, and you will choose between Harlem Hellfighters or the Batman Killing Joke. We just, it's a lot of essays to write about every single one, but you will do a discussion post about all of the essays except for V for Vendetta and The Watchmen. You'll write a big research paper as your final exam over those 2 comics. That functions as your final and will be due on the 25th. The last day to drop the class without getting a WF is June 11th. If you need to, drop the class or whatever, something happens. And let me go ahead and tell you, this is a summer class. This is 17 weeks worth of a class shoved in 4 weeks. So it's going to be a lot of reading and a lot of stuff in a short period of time. So, don't get behind, stay on top of things. But it should be pretty fun. I handpicked these comics myself because, I think they're pretty good. I tried to make them diverse. So, there's a range of subject matter and style. So, at least everybody should like 2 or 3 of them. But that's pretty much it. And, we'll work out whatever problems, occur. And I hope that you enjoy the class. Your first assignment will be to read the Getting Started section in the content area of this course in D2L. All you do is log into D2L, go to content, choose this course, then go to content, and, choose the Getting Started module. And that should give you just about everything you need. Your first assignment is going to be to read Scott McCloud's Understanding Comics and to write a 1-page post. And I will have an assignment sheet for you about that, what to write in that post. And, that'll verify that you're in the class, and that'll be your first bit of attendance. So you'll be doing that this first weekend. Email me if there's any problems.